Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon. Today I want to talk about Mantis. Mantis, she's a really interesting character. So the Guardians of the Galaxy, a very strong team. You have 6 members right now. You have Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Drax, Groot, and then Gamora, of course, the base 5. And then they added Mantis. And Mantis is kind of weird because teams in Marvel Strike Force are made of 5 members, and then they added Mantis, who relies on the Guardians of the Galaxy in many parts of her kit. And so this is kind of awkward because you're like, who do we cut for Mantis? Or do we not cut anyone for Mantis? Is she even good enough to cut someone for? And today I'm going to talk to you guys about what Mantis does and who maybe you should look to cut from your Guardians of the Galaxy team for her, or maybe Mantis isn't even that great. So let's start out with her passive right here. On spawn, gain charge. On turn, heal for 15% of her max health. So she'll always be healing herself through battle. That's great. It works very well for long-term battles. You'll find she excels in raids. A lot of her effects here say bonus stuff if she's in raids. So she's a raids character, so she'll keep herself healed for those long battles and raids with multiple waves. And then she gains 5% max health per guardian ally. And now you'll see how this comes into her kit once I go into some of her skills. So let's start with her basic attack. Sleep. Essentially, she'll attack the primary target for 240% damage, and if she's charged, then in addition, she'll stun the target. So she'll get 1 free stun every, sort of round you run, because she'll start with that charge, then she gets to use that charge on her basic attack. That's the only thing that uses charged in her kit, and then she doesn't gain charged any way else. So she gets 1 free stun off on somebody. So that's nice, it's cute. That's nice that she has that in her kit. But what's kind of cool is if Drax is an ally, when she does this ability, she'll apply deflect to Drax. So if you're gonna sub someone out for Mantis, don't sub out Drax, because Drax and Mantis work together. Keep that in mind. Now, our special skill is Empathy. She'll heal self and adjacent allies for 3,000 health plus 15% of this character's max health, and then she'll heal everyone else for 1,750 health plus 10% of her max health. And she'll apply regeneration to herself and all adjacent allies, and if it's in raids, they'll apply an additional regeneration to all allies. So this is a really great healing skill, and this is where you can see that Guardian ally passive come into effect, because if you have a full team of Guardians allies, that's additional 20% max health. So that means she has more health, so when she uses Empathy, she'll heal everyone for a lot more. Pretty good healing skill, gets a lot better in raids because regeneration's great, and she's applying a flat 3,000 health to everyone plus an additional 15% of her max health, which if we look at some quick stats, if you were to have her super highly statted up, she has 137,000 health, and of course that's with max red stars, max gear. This is a max, not Mantis. That's 137,000 health. So again, it's not going to be that high for your Mantis probably, but 20% of that is a significant amount of healing for your team. So just keep that in mind in the upper end modes. Mantis can do a lot for a team in terms of healing. And then our ultimate Soothe. So this is kind of it's an interesting skill. She'll redistribute health between self and lowest ally evenly, and then she'll heal self and that ally for 2,000. And then in raids, she transfers 2 negative effects from both self and that ally to a primary target, and she'll clear 2 positive effects from that target. But you can't target summon allies with this. So this skill kind of sucks if you're not using it in raids, because that's nice that she redistributes the health between her and the lowest health ally, but I'm not a huge fan of these whole redistributing health skills. They're nice sometimes in a pinch to get a character to have another turn or so, but say you're going against War Machine or Crossbones, now all you've done is made both you and the character that was about to die vulnerable to War Machine's ultimate or Crossbones ultimate. So in all scenarios, I don't think it's necessarily useful, and healing for 2,000 health is not that good. That's why these kind of things have percentage healing on them, because that's a lot more useful. 2,000 health, really not that great. But in raids, where she can transfer 2 negative effects from both self and an ally to a primary target, and then clear 2 positive effects from that target, now that is kind of useful. It's like a less awesome version of Psylocke's skill, but she does clear 2 positive effects from the primary target. So it's a very handy skill for slowing down one enemy. Say someone has taunt, you can clear that taunt and then put 2 slows maybe from you and an ally onto that target. So it's a good skill in raids. I don't think it's that great of a skill outside of raids. But now let's talk about the real question. Who do you sub out for Mantis? So Mantis, if you're doing like arena or blitz or something like that, I just say flat out, don't use Mantis. She's not that great there. Her healing she's not gonna have enough time really to utilize that healing. I just don't consider it useful enough. If you're doing something like a campaign node, maybe that might be useful to you, because you need a little more of a sustainability for your team, a little more health as the mission goes on. So in that case, maybe use Mantis. But when you're doing raids, the common person to switch out for Mantis is Groot. from what I understand, because Groot sort of heals a bit on the team and then he applies defense up, and then he gives Rocket Raccoon a little more damage, so that's sort of his purpose on the team. But Mantis does more healing than Groot, but then she sort of sacrifices that defense up and that death proof. She can't give that to the team like Groot does. So in a lot of scenarios, some people just flat out drop Groot and they put Mantis in instead. If you want to know my pro advice, what I'd say is you sort of rotate out Groot and Mantis in between campaign nodes. Ooh, the magic of editing. I'm changing some of the advice I gave you guys in this video because it was wrong. Little interesting thing to note, say you enter a raid node and a character has 50% of their max health and you heal them up to 75% of their max health. When you leave that raid node, it will carry that 75% max health over to the next node. So you can heal above your starting point and allow it to carry over to the next node. My original advice, I thought the health couldn't, like, say you started at 50%, you would go back down to 50% at the end of the node, but I was wrong. So that goes back to my advice now with Mantis and Groot, sort of how to use them in raids, you know, whether to use Mantis or Groot. My pro advice would be to use Groot, give you that defense up, sort of decrease the amount of damage a team takes. You know, say your team gets to roughly half health within a node, then you use Mantis within the next node, and then Mantis can heal that team back up, hopefully, so that way then you can switch back to Groot. Groot can do the defense up, you know, switch back to Mantis. Mantis can heal the team back up, you know, and sort of keep going back and forth to try to keep the team above water. Now, Mantis is healing. You gotta keep a close eye on what Mantis is doing and how much team your health has, because when you start out a battle with Mantis, now energy does carry over between nodes in raids, so you could start out a node with a heal for Mantis, but when you're first time you're using Mantis, she goes out on the field, you need 2 turns before she can use her healing skill, and Soothe isn't going to do much for you in terms of healing, and her basic attack not going to do that much for you either. It's in her basic attack, really it's nice, but it's not all that great. It's nice the first time you use it. It's really nice for a raid node when you first hop in and you get that stun, but outside of that, her basic attack's not going to do that much for you, and her ultimate, while nice, it's going to help get you out of some sticky situations. It's not all that great in terms of healing, so just keep in mind empathy, her special skill, you need 2 turns before you can use that heal. So if you're going to sub her into a team to heal them up, make sure the team can survive 2 turns. So, you know, you can start out with Groot, give you a defense up, decrease the amount of damage the team takes for the node, and then the next node you can use Mantis and try to heal the team back up, or you could sort of just keep using Groot the whole way until the team's really hanging on by a thread, and then you could use Mantis for one last node, and then she can keep healing the team, so that way they can perform one more node. I don't think Mantis has the potential in her healing to sort of bring a team back up to max health, but I think she can extend the lifetime of a team, and I think if you're healing against a node that's not going to do that much damage, you may even be able to end that node with slightly more health than you started, but I wouldn't expect Mantis to carry a team back up to like 100% health or something like that in a node, but she can certainly extend the lifetime of a team. So that's when you got to be careful when you're using Groot or when you're using Mantis. You know, you got to think, how much health is my team going to be left with if I keep giving them defense ups as Groot? You know, is that going to be enough for next node to Mantis to work with, or, you know, do I need to use Mantis now to heal the team up? So just sort of, I'd fluctuate between using Groot or Mantis based on what the team needs. So outside of her healing, which doesn't come on that often, I don't think she's all that great, but she certainly has her uses, and she's sort of a nice character to keep up your sleeve, you know, for raids. If your team's maybe struggling a bit or everybody's kind of low in health, you know, Mantis can help a team get through a tough node. She can help a team sustain. But generally it's going to be between her or Groot. You know, you have to say, do I want defense up there? I just sort of want to negate the damage in the first place, you know, with a defense up with Groot, or do I want to let my team take the damage and heal them up with Mantis? You know, some people might even try to switch out. Maybe you sacrifice a bit of DPS with Gamora. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that because raid nodes, I think Gamora can really tear through those. I think she's too valuable to lose. Rocket Raccoon's DPS is too great, and Star-Lord sort of provides everything for the team. You know, he's sort of the core of the team, and definitely not Drax. You don't want to switch out Drax because he synergizes with Mantis, so you don't want to miss out on that synergy. It's not that great of a synergy, but you know, if you have a choice, you want to keep it. So that's why sort of Groot's gonna be the one you switch out for. So just always keep that in mind with Mantis. And you know, when you're building a Guardians team, say you get like a 100 drop of Mantis out of an orb, you know, when you're first starting the game, you know, that's okay. You can run a team where you don't have one of the other Guardians characters and you're using Mantis instead, because she's still useful. I generally would still go for that core 5 team of Groot, Raccoon, Gamora, Star-Lord, and Drax. Just sort of keep Mantis as sort of a pick when you're going into raids or your team's struggling a bit. So I hope that helps you guys understand where to use Mantis a bit. She's a little confusing in terms of where she's useful. Well, she's not confusing in where she's useful. It's obviously raids because that's rendering her skills. But she's sometimes confusing to place onto a team. So I hope this helps you guys out. And this helps you maybe figure out when you actually get the chance to use Mantis. I also struggle with using Mantis. I forget about her a lot of the time. But I hope you guys do use Mantis a little more often now that you see she has some pretty cool stuff in her kit. But with that being said, what do I know, guys? I am just a 17-year-old. Signing off, guys.